Okay, so this is where I thank you for coming. I think the challenge is always to think about what is the what is the moral of the story that we have heard today? How does the story go? This is a meeting that really has been 20 years in the works from the time that I first got to work on that Caltech MIT voting technology project to now. And I think it's a fun moment to think about where I am in my own career and where WashU is in its own trajectory as a university. One of the things I've really appreciated about our current chancellor is when he talks, he has this idea, you can sort of see it in his language, to think about perhaps what universities need to be doing is working on the most pressing problems of our age. And specifically, we should be thinking about pressing problems of our region. And I think that what I'm seeing from you all here is that we actually have this emerging community of people who are really interested in elections in St. Louis, in Missouri, and I'm really excited to be in conversation with you. So one of the things very selfishly from my own where I want to go here is I want to think about how can you all help me think of WashU as having a space here to continue that tradition that was started with the Caltech MIT Voting Technology Project. So I think that's my first call to action. Please don't be strangers. I'm pretty shy myself. I find speaking in front of groups very stressful. But I think now that I know you, I'm looking forward to having lunch. The messaging that I heard today and yesterday somewhat was surprising to me, that there was so much of a story about AI and caution, AI and risk, AI and misinformation or hallucination, that the tools are still not quite there. And that while increasingly election officials are placed under these tremendous burdens of budget and time, we haven't quite found the right vendors yet or the right vetted solutions. So I think the call that Karen made that we need to do some more basic science is actually a really great place for universities to be, to do some of this foundational research so you all know what tools you need to use. We saw some of that, some help sorting through what is useful, what is safe, how to understand, for example, how to support your staff who are probably already using these tools. If you're wondering how they finally got that presentation they had not yet started done the 1 hour before it was due, I suspect that one of these tools was complicit in that action. So you might want to have some office policies. I think it's really clear that the challenges in the legal landscape are really not settled, and that we should expect a pretty wild and varied landscape, both in terms of state policy. I think Adam's presentation was really clear that we're going to see lots of action in this space. That we're thinking about AI as speech. And that's a really tricky space, especially since we're also looking at AI as the place where we're going to see the creation of more and more deep fakes. I thought what Kim told us, this swatting story, 200 polling places last election cycle told there was a bomb threat. How could we defend against that? I think we should be a lot more concerned in this room, and I am a lot more concerned in this room, that is also going to scale logarithmically. That the dangers of misinformation, that we do not have a way to create chatbots of truth tellers to make it a truthier society, but there are lots of ways to create chatbots of misinformation. That truth is getting increasingly expensive and hard, and fiction is cheap, ubiquitous, and nearly free, is going to be really threatening to democracy. And so I think we should all be thinking actually much harder about what we're going to do for that. It's going to be swatting at a different scale. And I think we need to do some tabletop exercises on that real fast. I think there's some real pathways for opportunity where we're already seeing AI making incredible solutions. I love the idea of engaging AI in terms of redistricting problems. I love that process on pre-bunking. And there were some hints here about how we can use AI to actually create some pathways for policy, to understand what is being considered in state legislatures, to understand how we can elevate election official voices into these spaces. But the thing I think that we emerged most from this conference, and I hope you did too, is this real sense of hope. And I think that's on pretty short order these days. But this is a really unusual meeting to have in a meeting of, I know many of you already knew each other, but not all of you knew all of each other. To have people who are both public officials and in consulting spaces, and to think about people who are actually building the technology, and then these academics in the same room. I think we need more of these meetings. So, I think the hope that I get is that we all have this real desire for high quality elections and high quality governance, and we're in it together. That this isn't us coming back after you've already built something and said, hey, gotcha. But this is our chance to have these conversations before you build it. Charles' question, why does it matter that an academic study is pre-registered? Because then you know what the finding is going to, we're going to test it like we plan to do it. That process of pre-registering, if you're about to beta test something or build something in its very early stages, now is the time to get involved with the academics and say, how would you measure its success? Because we're really good at that. And then you can end up with a much more collaborative model and solution. So I want to emerge from this the message that there are lots of people working together, and I think that there are a lot of ways we can support each other's work. So in terms of very specific actions, Mike said his goal for this meeting was to, talk to someone he didn't yet know. I hope you have risen to that challenge and you have found someone's business card or you've found someone on LinkedIn and you will stay in touch with each other. I also want you to stay in touch with us. So we will process all of these videos slowly but surely over a long period of time because we will not move fast on this task. But we'll share them out, share them on your socials. They'll serve as a reservoir and a record of what happened here today. And I think, we'll see what the next kind of convening here looks like. If you have ideas on that, be in touch. And I think, as we ask this question, which Karen asked, what are the AI tools that can fortify and strengthen governance? We don't know yet, but we're working on them. So with that, onwards. I'll see you next time.